Hi guys, I'm Laura Vitale, and on this episode of Laura in the Kitchen, I want to share with you how to make a delicious, crispy, yummy chicken with mushrooms and olives and onions, and it's just so delicious, but it's also really simple. But having said that, it's simple, yet it feels really special, and I think it's pretty perfect if you're having a very small, intimate gathering for New Year's, and maybe you want to make a really delicious dinner. This, a side of roast potatoes and a green salad with a little bit of white wine, and it is absolute perfection. I've shared a picture of this on Instagram a few weeks ago, and we've made it a few times ever since, because it's truly wonderful, and like I said, very easy and very simple. So I want to share it with you because a lot of you wanted to see it. So here we go, very simple. I've got some chicken thighs here. You can see I have them skin side down on paper towels because I want to make sure that the skin itself is as dry as possible. I've also got a little bit of white wine, a nice dry white wine, salt and pepper. I have a little dry rosemary. You could use fresh. I've got a mixture of mushrooms here. I've got some little cremini mushrooms, some oyster mushrooms, and some shiitake mushrooms, all sliced up. I've got some green olives here. I've got a mixture of casavetrano and cherinola. You can use one or the other. And then I've got some red onion and some garlic, and you'll need some olive oil, salt and pepper, and that's pretty much it. But together it is so fabulous. I've got the oven preheated to 400. I'm gonna go ahead in the skillet, add a good amount of olive oil. Lovely. And you wanna make sure you use a good amount of olive oil here, because one of the most delicious things in the world to me is chicken fat. Like chicken fat, like the fat that renders off of chicken, especially like chicken thighs, and you cook things in it. So we're gonna cook mushrooms in it, so they're gonna absorb all that beautiful flavor and really make this dish so good. You would not believe it, but it needs a little bit of fat to get it going. So we've got that there. I'm gonna go ahead and season my chicken with some salt and pepper and a little bit of dry rosemary. I like rosemary with chicken, but you can totally leave it out. You could do a little fresh thyme, you could do a little fresh rosemary, whatever your heart desires, but this is pretty fantastic. And these are things that I tend to keep on hand a lot, so it's something that's really easy for me to cook. So I'm gonna just flip this over. This is a good amount of skin, and again, it's just gonna be so wonderful. There's a couple things that really are important here whenever you're cooking chicken with the skin on. One of them is that you get make sure that your actual skin here is dry, which is why I lay it on paper towels. Two, that you make sure that you've got enough fat in your pan. And three, once you add your chicken in, you don't want to do this on like super high heat. You want to do this on like medium high, because you want that fat to render, and that's what gives you really crispy skin, but you also want to leave it alone. You don't want to mess with it too much. Don't turn it too many times, because then you will not get a very crispy skin. So leaving it alone is pretty important. So well seasoned. That's not ready yet, so while we wait for that, all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this onion, and I'm just going to take the top off, but I'm going to leave the base intact. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to slice each half into about 3 nice large chunks, or I suppose you could say 3 nice large thick slices. And then that way it just kind of adds, it's almost like it's another vegetable to your dish rather than just onion for flavor. Do you know what I mean? Just need to get this off. It looks like they're not gonna fit, but they will. And they will shrink as they cook as well, so just be patient. They will shrink as they cook. They will absorb that beautiful flavor. This was the onion I was telling you about. I just kind of sliced it like so that we've got nice big chunks. My mushrooms are already chopped up like you saw. I don't really have to do much to them. I'm just gonna chop up a few cloves of garlic. I'm gonna do 4 because I want this to be really gutsy and garlicky and bold in flavor. These are all things that obviously go really, really well with chicken, but you could do, you know, any other vegetables. You could do some eggplant here, you could do some zucchini, anything like that that's kind of quick cooking and can absorb flavor really nicely. And then I'm just going to give these a slice of roux. and then just wait for my chicken to get crispy, and I am not gonna touch it until it's there. Look at that. That is what you're looking for. And it does render out quite a bit of fat, but we're gonna discard most of it. Look at that skin. You know it's gonna be delicious. You know it's gonna taste incredible. I'm just gonna let this go for another like 4 minutes on the other side, and then we're gonna transfer them to the oven to finish cooking further. That's pretty perfect if you ask me. The skin's really nice and crispy. They're gonna go into the oven to finish cooking all the way through. And then, in the meantime, we will work on sauteing our mushrooms and all that jazz. But I have the oven preheated to 400. They're only gonna be in there like 10 minutes or so. Remember, they do have a bone in, so you wanna make sure that they are fully cooked through. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then we make, everything else. As much as I love chicken fat, I don't want all of that. But I do want some of it. And to it, I'm gonna go ahead and add the mushrooms. You can certainly use just one type of mushroom if you want to. But I do like a variety, and I really do love the flavor and texture of, I love the flavor of cremini mushrooms, but I love the texture of a good oyster mushroom and shiitake mushrooms, and my mouth is watering, which is a good sign. I'm just gonna go ahead and give these a stir. You can see that they soak up all of that fat pretty quickly, but we didn't have too much in there, so don't worry, it's not gonna be too much. I'm gonna go ahead and cook them with just a little bit of salt. It does help draw out moisture in the mushrooms themselves. Give them a good stir. I'm gonna cook them for like about 2 minutes or so. Then we're gonna add the onion and the garlic, and we pretty much sort of start to pull this whole thing together. It's been about a couple minutes, and it's really interesting. Once the mushrooms get cooking and they start to develop a bit of color, yummy. It's almost like they start to release that fat back into the pan, which is lovely. I'm gonna go ahead and add my big chunky pieces of onion. Just kind of put those around the pan so that I can flip them while still keeping them somewhat intact. And lots of garlic. And now I just want to cook this kind of on like medium to medium low. I don't want to scorch the garlic, and I don't want to burn my onion. I want to kind of keep everything pretty nice and golden. I'm just going to cook this for about, I would say, 5-ish minutes or so. Right around the time the chicken should be ready to come out. These look fantastic. I'm kind of pushing the veggies to the side. You can see the garlic is a lovely light golden. The onions, for the most part, are still kind of intact and in big chunks. I'm gonna go ahead and just put my olives around. Probably could do this after, but doesn't matter. It makes no difference. And then I've got my chicken here that I took out of the oven, and I'm you hear the skin's already really crispy. I'm kind of gonna nestle them in the center and around, sort of on top of the veggies, like so. You can put some of the veggies underneath, it doesn't really matter. The most important thing here is that no liquid touches the skin of the chicken, because then you will undo what you've done and create that really beautiful crispy skin. A little white wine, which is kind of optional, but I do think it adds, well, there's that. My counter is now drunk. It does kind of add a beautiful flavor, and I'm just gonna let these bubble away together for a few minutes or until the liquid kind of reduces, and then we are done. I have some dill that I'm gonna sprinkle over the top because I really like that. But you could do parsley. Like I said, a mash with this would be great. Potato would be great with this if you want to keep it low carb come the new year. Maybe you're sort of like tweaking that a little bit from all of the carb overload this holiday season. You could do a cauliflower mash, you could do a roasted veg, you could do a lovely green salad, and it would be perfection. So keep an eye on this for a few minutes while I clear up, get myself a plate, because I'm gonna dig in. That's it. Turn that off. Like I said, I really like adding some dill here. You don't have to, you could do parsley, like I said, anything you like, but I love dill. I like to put dill in my salads. I like to put dill with seafood, with anything. It's just a favorite. And it kind of adds another element of flavor, something licoricey, something a bit more green, something a bit more exciting. I'm gonna go, oh, I don't know. I'm gonna go with this one. Nice, plumptuous, beautiful, gorgeous. And then sort of, I hate to mess up the skin, but you know, you do need some of that sauce beautifully draped over the chicken. And the great thing about something like this is that truly this is as easy to make for 4 as it is to make for 8. You just double everything up and you're good to go. You just use a bigger pan and that's it. It's no more work really. You hear that? I hope you do. The chicken is like perfectly cooked, beautiful and juicy and bouncy. I really hope you could hear that crunch. That is so perfect. I love that. I'm determined for you to hear the crunch of this chicken. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Simple, easy, delicious home food that's also special enough to serve for a special occasion. That's my kind of favorite, like that's my favorite food. Go to Laura in the kitchen for the written recipe. I hope you enjoy spending time with me. I will see you next time. Recipes on laurainthekitchen.com. I think I've already said that. I'll see you next time. Bye.